Yeah, that's...
City Clerk, would you call the roll?
Alderman Tindem.
Here.
Alderman Grover. Here. Alderman Rainey.
Here.
Alderman Burris. Here. Alderman Fisk. Here. Alderman John Batiste.
Here.
Alderman Wynn.
Here.
Alderman Wilson.
Here.
Alderman Holmes.
Here.
We have a quorum. Welcome to the June 14th meeting of the Evanston City Council. I have two public announcements. First is I am very sorry on behalf of the City of Evanston Environment Board and the entire Evanston community that benefited from years of his service that we recognize the passing of William Bill Gallagher, who died June 3rd at Evanston Hospital. Bill enjoyed a long career as a construction engineer and engineering consultant and shared his knowledge and skills as a longtime member of the city's Environment Board, where he served from November 27, 2006 until his passing. On the Environment Board, he helped craft numerous policies and ordinances, including the recently passed Green Building Ordinance. The Environment Board will remember Bill for his sparkling smile, his sense of style, and his friendship. Bill was also an enthusiastic sailor and member of the East Greenwich, Rhode Island, Evanston, and Chicago yacht clubs, including the latter's Old Guard. Bill left behind a large and loving family, including 3 sons, 5 granddaughters, and 3 grandsons. We remember Bill warmly and recognize his generous service with fondness and appreciation. He will be sorely missed. And next, I would like to call up Josh Barney, the chair of the Arts Council. There he is.
Hello, I'm Josh Barney, 1940 Orrington, and I'm the chair of the Public Art Committee. And before we recognize the poets and their poems that will be stamped into the ramp of the library downtown, I want to recognize the level of community engagement that this process fostered. There were 328 poems submitted to for this competition that was open only to Evanston residents, and I want to thank everyone who submitted those poems and to add to this project. It's great to see that type of cultural engagement in the city. We do have 3 poets, 3 of the 5 poets here today. 2 of them were not able to come because they had one was out of town and one was sick. And so I'm going to read one of those poems, followed by the poets that are here. The first poem I'm going to read is by Ethan Plout. It's titled Research. My poems are research into how the perfect conversation would sound, just in case I should find the person with whom to have it. The next poem read will be by Charlotte Hart.
Thank you all so much for recognizing the poets that live in Evanston. My poem is Clark Street Beach. Lake Michigan's smooth sunrise barefoot wedding, kissing, laughing, tux pants rolled up, gown held above sand. We were the old couple walking by holding hands.
Hi, I'm Alicia Bernesh, 1616 South Boulevard. And thank you very much for doing this for all of us. My poem is called The Poetic Foot. Your feet scan these words and feel the vibration of meaning through their soles. Poetry is motion and the rhythm of bodies that pound their stories into the earth.
Hello, I'm Toby Sachs, 2415 Pioneer. You'll hear a foot theme coming through here, given the medium we're all working in. My poem doesn't have a title, but it has a little graphic, which is a pair of footprints which will be now stamped into the concrete. And it's very short. You may step where I step, but you may not walk in my shoes unless you try.
One more poem. There's one more poem, the fifth poet who wasn't able to make it here, Susan Gunlock. It's titled Snowflakes. Flitting spots of white, lighting on dead flower stalks, winter's butterflies. Thank you.
Do you think you could all come back to another meeting? This is really a good way to start a meeting. Thank you very
We can
much.
definitely make that happen.
Thank you. I know you all will be sorry, but there are no proclamations tonight. City Manager, do you have announcements?
Yes, Madam Mayor. There once was a budget from Evanston. No, I'm sorry. We're here this evening to present two awards to Mayor Tisdale on behalf of the Government Finance Officers Association of the United States and Canada for the city's consolidated annual financial report for fiscal year 2008-2009 and also for the fiscal year 2009-10 budget. Mr. Lyons, the Assistant City Manager, has the award, Madam Mayor, if you wouldn't mind accepting them on behalf of the city.
Be delighted.
Let's see, Eric, should I go over this way?
Wherever you like.
Do we have a camera?
Right to the camera. For excellence in financial reporting.
Thank you very much.
And we have 30 of these. I've always wanted to do this on the night that the arborists are here when they also have 30, but we've never quite gotten it in a timely manner. So a little bit of competition there.
And for those who didn't hear what Marty said because he didn't have a microphone, that's the 30th consecutive year that the City of Evanston has been awarded this honor from the Government Finance Officers Association for our comprehensive annual financial report, which shows that for 30 years we have met industry guidelines for local government finance in our financial reporting.
And just as a follow-up to that, as we've noted to the council, the guidelines have gotten a lot more complex in the last 3 to 4 years, and we've also had our own reductions in staff, and yet we've still been able to meet the award, and I'm very proud of the accounting and finance department for that. The second award is the Distinguished Budget Presentation Award. This is a newer award. The city has been getting it for the last several years. Even though we went from a budget team of approximately 5 less than 3 or 4 years ago down to 1 in the budget department. I don't know if we could still call it a budget department, but the city management and finance team continues to apply and receive this award each year. And this award, as it says, is for budget presentation. So it speaks to the ability of the reader to be able to understand our budget through the upfront sections where we have the graphics and tell a lot of the story regarding the city's budget and not just have it a bunch of graphs and charts. So.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I get the mic because I'm the mayor. Congratulations, Mr. Lyons. I know I get the award, but you won it, and thank you very much for all your work and all your team's work.
Madam Mayor, there's one additional presentation. As you and the City Council are aware, about a year ago, we began competing with other sister cities around Northern Illinois in a competition held by Commonwealth Edison known as the ComEd Energy Challenge. There's $100,000 at stake for the winner, and the contest period or the competition period ended on May 31. We wanted to take this opportunity to report to you what is in our final report to ComEd. We're very proud of the work that our Sustainability Coordinator, Carolyn Colopy, has done this past year working on the ComEd Energy Challenge. It's important to note that Carolyn was off for a fair portion of the year on maternity leave, so keep in mind that the numbers you're going to hear shortly really were only from a partial year, but we're still very excited. We feel we have a very good chance of winning, beating communities twice and 3 times our size throughout Northern Illinois, but we wanted to come here this evening and give you an update on the good work that we've done. Ms. Colopy?
Good evening. Before I start, I'd just like to share some recent good news.
Last week, the city learned that we were awarded honorable mention for the U.S. Mayor's Conference Climate Protection Awards. We submitted our climate action plan development process. We were, I believe, one of 140 communities that submitted for an award, and 10 communities got honorable mention and 2 won, depending on the size of the community. As Wally mentioned, at the end of May, we completed 1 year of participating in the ComEd Community Energy Challenge. And tomorrow we're going to submit our final report on the progress that we made towards the ambitious goals that we laid out in our municipal energy plan. We submitted this initial plan back in April, and we were scored based on the potential that we had within our plan for meeting our energy and sustainability objectives. That initial score represents 20% of our final score, and what we submit tomorrow, our final report, will represent 80% of our final score. And as Wally mentioned, the community with the highest final score is going to receive $100,000. There are 10 communities. I believe it started out as a dozen, and 10 ended up submitting plans and participating in the program. Our plan focused on 3 different areas for energy reductions: residential, commercial, and municipal. On the residential side, we focused on several programs where we focused on connecting residents to different resources that would help them reduce energy use. One of the programs was ComEd's appliance recycling program, which provides cash for refrigerators and room air conditioner upgrades. It also picks it up for free and recycles it. Another one of the programs was ComEd's all-electric program, which is a retrofit program for multifamily buildings and does not require a match. It has some basic features like compact fluorescent replacements, and I believe wrap your water heaters. We also participated in an LED holiday light exchange. We focused on weatherizing low-income households through the city's new weatherization program and CETA's, the CETA-administered state program. And we launched a program to get residents to switch their porch lights to CFLs. We got an early start to promoting the 2 ComEd programs and saw some promising results. Program participation for the appliance recycling program almost tripled over the previous year, and we increased from 0 participation to 38 units in the all-electric multifamily program. We also had successful results in our other residential initiatives. We exchanged 50 strands of holiday lights, and that program was paid for by ComEd. We exceeded our 500 household target for the porch light campaign, despite launching the campaign 6 months later than we planned. We launched it on Earth Day and had just over a month to exceed that number. We became an Energy Star Pledge driver, and we used that to track our participation. We connected it to the porch light campaign and had 529 households participate in the porch light campaign. And that included some of our more famous porches, including the Dawes House. And then we also surpassed our goal of weatherizing 30 to 60 units. Through our efforts to work with CETA, along with our own weatherization grant program that was launched in February and paid for with our Energy Efficiency and Conservation Block Grant funds, 95 units were weatherized during the Community Energy Challenge program year. 79 were weatherized through CETA's program, the state program, and that's a substantial increase over the year prior, where they weatherized 15 units. Our commercial efforts, we targeted small businesses, our large institutions, and some nonprofits, and tried to connect them to state and ComEd program incentives. As you may recall, we, through our ambitious efforts and outlined in the plan, were successful in securing $350,000 in incentives that were reserved for Evanston businesses through the Smart Ideas for Your Business program, and those help pay for a variety of energy efficiency improvements, including lighting upgrades, refrigeration improvements, HVAC improvements. It covers about a quarter to half of the cost, so the business still has to invest a little bit of their own money. And we had some big success here. We went from 5 participants the previous year to 48. We're only going to be able to take credit for half of that because the program requires that we prove how we directly got the business to participate in the program. But part of the projects that we directly impacted included 4 nonprofit participants that were partially funded through the ComEd Smart Ideas for Your Business program and the Evanston Community Foundation's Evanston Climate Action Fund, and that was the first award that they gave. So it's nice to be able to combine the 2 funding sources and further those dollars and increase the number of projects that they were able to fund. Most of the outreach that we did to businesses, we did online and also at events. And so as we reached the end of our program year, we put in a pretty substantial last effort to reach businesses, recognizing that we weren't getting as much participation as we wanted to. We recruited 20 Northwestern students. We had a couple of trainings. We got a few residents who generously donated their time and came in and trained these students on very basic energy audits. And the students went out, hit the streets, and visited about 500 businesses to explain the ComEd Smart Ideas for Your Business program, help them with the applications, and while we didn't have a huge increase in the number of businesses participating, I think it was a good effort to increase awareness among our business community of the program. We had very few days remaining by the time we were able to train those students and get them out on the street. And then on the municipal side, we were successful in completing about half of the projects that we outlined in our plan, and this is due to a lot of different factors, largely budget and staff, lack of staff and budget. But we were successful in completing lighting upgrades at the Maple Street parking garage, the police headquarters, Crown parking lot, fire station number 2, and the water plant. We did an HVAC tune-up at the water plant and LED signal upgrades at 2 intersections on Central Street. Some of the projects that we didn't complete, but we are moving forward with, and they should be done in the next year, include lighting upgrades at Chandler, the Ecology Center, and the Church Street parking garage, the solar PV installation at the water plant, a solar thermal installation at one of the fire stations, and the relamping of all of the city's David Arm streetlights. Included in our municipal energy savings here are the savings tied to one of the strategies in our plan was to reduce water use, and so the energy savings tied to the water savings that we did realize are included in here. We had a goal of reducing water use by 1%, and we actually achieved a 7% reduction in water use during the challenge program year. In addition to energy and water savings, there were some other aspects to our plan that looked more at policy, and we were successful in achieving a few of the things that we had outlined in the plan, and that includes the passing of the Green Building Ordinance last December, and that mandates the U.S. GBC LEED Silver certification for all new municipal and commercial construction over 10,000 square feet, and also has a green building requirement for renovations of all sizes. And we also passed, we went from the 2003 International Energy Conservation Code to the 2009 code. It did pass statewide, but we passed it just before. And we also participated, tied to the code, in some training for our staff. We were, as a Community Energy Challenge participant, able to participate in an effort through the U.S. Mayor's Caucus to get training on making that upgrade to our code. So in the end, we achieved 80% of our electric reduction goal, 91% of our greenhouse gas emissions reduction goal. We surpassed both of our goals for natural gas reductions and water savings. And we may not have surpassed all of our targets for the Community Energy Challenge, but more importantly, we made significant progress towards implementing several strategies in our climate action plan, and we learned a lot along the way. Given our limited staff and limited financial resources, we put forth an effort that I think we can be pretty proud of. And we'll find out in a month who the winner is. Thank you.
And with that, Madam Mayor, that concludes our presentations.
Have any communications?
No communications, Madam Mayor.
Whoop. Next, we have citizen comment. First three are Kevin O'Connor, Frank Summers, and Carl Bova. If you would come up now and speak one after the other.
Good evening. Kevin O'Connor, 1227 and a half Isabella. Have we learned anything yet? As a tax-paying citizen contributor, I attended all of the budget workshops earlier this year, talking about how the city of Evanston's financial condition was extremely dire and getting worse. As a reality check, always dangerous, let's visit some items on the council's agenda tonight and coming up in the future. Agenda item P1, Evanston Grand Prix sponsorship, $10,000 coming from salary savings in the EDF, the Economic Development Fund. Should we really be giving our salary savings back in such a form? Agenda item A6, purchase of 2 lots at 1708-1710 Darrow for $120,000 each. Why are we bailing out a bank with our tax dollars? Agenda item 01 and 02, $65,563 in annual funding for the North Shore Convention and Visitors Bureau, while our neighborhood business districts only get $50,000. Am I the only one that thinks this is a little odd that our tax-paying business districts get $15,563 less than the non-tax-paying bureau? Perhaps the Bureau could move their offices to Evanston from Skokie. Also, why are we funding with our tax dollars a bureau that promotes Skokie, Glenview, and Northbrook, i.e. our competition for business and visitors? Our proposed Evanston Township budget shows an increase from the actual budget of $83,982 under former experienced assessor Sharon Eckersall to $168,054 under Assessor Bonnie Wilson, an increase of $84,072. Can anyone explain why, when the City of Evanston taxpayer is so strapped, that a 100% increase would be foisted upon us? So finally, to repeat my initial question, have we learned anything yet? It appears that this council has not put the tax-paying citizens and businesses ahead of political business as usual. With a $170 million pension deficit and declining revenues, why are we spending money we really don't have? Not cutting the City of Evanston expenses even deeper and living within our means. As my late Uncle Al would often say, I apologize for cluttering up the argument with logic. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Summers?
Hello, I'm Frank Summers, 2126 Orrington, and I want to thank you for this opportunity to speak with you this evening. I wish to express my strong opposition to the idea of placing a third stoplight in a 2-block area on Sheridan Road between Foster and Noyes. There is no place on the approximately 40 miles of Sheridan Road from Howard Street to the Wisconsin border that has such a concentration of traffic lights. The need for such an unprecedented traffic slowdown and consequent disruption of neighborhood traffic would have to be clearly demonstrated. At the recent ward meeting, the university and city traffic representative failed to provide one iota of evidence that the piece of Sheridan Road in question presents any serious danger. I know there is a claim to have data on head counts, but the community has not seen that data, and that type of information anyway does not demonstrate a safety problem. There is no evidence that that area has suddenly become a safety problem. I have lived on Orrington near Noyes for the past 25 years and have seen no accidents in the area. Such a light would clearly be a serious halting of traffic on a main thoroughfare. Drivers would seek alternate routes at rush hour, a situation that would likely create new dangers for the neighborhood. Any project that has the potential to create such a danger would have to be well supported by incontrovertible evidence, but not even minimal data of any sort have been provided to the community. If the university really does believe that safety is an issue, they can simply close down that entrance to the university. Other routes to that parking lot can be established, or at a minimum, they could change the lot to right in, right out. Or a traffic policeman can be stationed in the 1 hour where traffic is heavy during weekdays when school is in session, approximately 30 weeks per year. But, as is their wont, the university prefers to disrupt the neighborhood and create serious danger and disturbance for the surrounding community rather than experience any inconvenience themselves. It would be an absolute travesty if the city went along with the pleasure of the university at the expense of the well-being of the community and the neighborhood. The city council is supposed to represent the entire community. Using that criterion, the choice should be very easy to make. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bova?
Good evening. Carl Bova, 1322 Rosalie Street. Tonight's comments are very similar to those I made at the ANPW meeting this evening. I'd like to say that with respect to the traffic signal at Sheridan Road, at Garrett, that I would recommend approval of the negotiations by the city manager per his memo. That agreement should also include the study of the need for the signal, for the location of the signal, as well as the engineering requirements for that study, in addition to the installation of the signals. It is not simply a matter of NU paying for the signal, but rather a matter of finding the right improvement for which the university will agree to pay. There's presently no consensus amongst the aldermen, the staff, residents, the university, or Garrett. The base concern is pedestrian safety, a starting point for all parties. It's a serious pedestrian safety issue first, then a motorist safety issue. I conducted an interview not too long ago with a higher official who stated that approximately 2 pedestrians are injured on Sheridan Road seriously enough to require a trip to the hospital every year. Do you have the pedestrian accident counts at your disposal to make a decision tonight? Safety for all users does not automatically translate into a signal at the parking lot. There are many options, some of which include the signal. It's not case closed. My gut feeling is a signal is required, and perhaps that signal should be moved to Garrett Place as opposed to a mid-block signal. And what of NU's plan for the 800-car parking garage near the parking lot entrance? How will this change traffic or traffic patterns a few years from now? And what of the university city safety walks last winter? Do spend more time, even separate from the present interconnect project, to get the Garrett signal right. Understand the physical constraints and respect all parties in coming to a consensus. I believe a consensus can be had. No one is 100% right or wrong, but safety is a goal. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Bob Atkins, Ethan Merrill, and Sharon Eckersall.
Madam Mayor and members of the City Council. My name is Bob Atkins. I'm president of Northwestern Neighbors, and I live at 2005 Orrington. The council is being asked by Northwestern here this evening to approve the installation of a traffic signal along Sheridan Road between Library Place and Garrett. Given that there are traffic signals at Chicago, Foster, and Noyes, there is no legitimate support to support Northwestern's request. While Northwestern claims that this additional traffic signal is necessary for safety reasons, however, to the best of my knowledge, there has never been an independent study that has been made showing the necessity for the signal to protect the safety of Northwestern students, and at the same time showing the impact on traffic flow, on the surrounding neighborhood, and whether it will have an adverse economic effect on the home values of individual property owners. Absent such an independent study, this council should not comply with Northwestern's request. For 32 years, I have resided a block away from the corner of Foster and Sheridan. I can report that students run across Sheridan Road, north and south of Foster, with cell phone in ear, irrespective of the traffic signal at Foster. To suggest that these students will now cross at the new proposed light 1.5 blocks north of Foster is totally unrealistic. Furthermore, it is clear that the additional traffic signals on Sheridan will only increase traffic, particularly during rush hours on Arlington Avenue and on Ridge. Given the large number of children now residing on Orrington, this added through traffic on Orrington would not be a good idea. Finally, Northwestern clearly has no idea whatsoever of what's going to happen with the area now occupied by the parking lot. As Mr. Naylor told me within the last week, that they don't know what's going to happen with that area. They don't know whether there's a building going to go up. They don't know what kind of a building is going to go up. And yet they are here asking for a light that's unnecessary. In sum, I would ask the council to defer consideration of Northwestern's request until Northwestern's proposal can be thoroughly examined by independent experts paid for by Northwestern in order to assure the council that Northwestern's request will have no adverse impact on the city and its residents. To do any less helps foster the impression that this community will do whatever Northwestern wants, and that what Northwestern wants, Northwestern gets. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Ethan Merrill. I'm the new Northwestern Associate Student Government External Relations Vice President, and I would just like to address 3 major concerns. I would like to speak on favor of the building of the traffic light, and I would like to speak on 3 major concerns. One is safety, the other is the possible effect on traffic, and the third is with students crossing Sheridan at random points. But for the first point is a safety concern. For the last year, I have walked across campus, different parts of Evanston, and up and down the east side of Sheridan on a day-to-day basis. And I'll say without hesitation that the entrance to Garrett parking lot at the spot where this light is being proposed is most easily the most dangerous spot of where I walk on a day-to-day basis. Because there's constantly cars trying to go in and out of the parking lot, while a large amount of students trying to cross the entrance to the parking lot, there seems to be no coherent movement. It's chaotic, and cars are often darting in and out of the parking lot, in between small groups of students whenever there's a minor break, causing both dangers to the possible driver of the vehicle, but also to the students. It's easily one of the most dangerous spots, and by building a traffic light there, it will cause more order of when it's appropriate for pedestrians to cross the entrance to the parking lot and when cars should go in and out of the parking lot, and therefore it solves the problem of this location. Second, as it relates to the traffic problems, because this light will be built, but it will be managed under the control of the city of Evanston, the lights on Sheridan can easily be timed so that they are paced out correctly. It's not as though one driver will necessarily be stopped at each light along the way. The lights can be timed so effectively so that all the lights cause even flow of traffic across the Sheridan Road. On top of that, if you currently watch these cars trying to go into the parking lot, especially trying to make left turns coming south on Sheridan, there are times where it's busy where 10 or so cars will be built up in a row on the street of Sheridan trying to turn in. So currently there are traffic problems because of the lack of the traffic light. There's cars just occupying an entire one of the lanes on Sheridan Road going southbound, trying to get into this parking lot, waiting for a spot where there are not students crossing. And so that itself causes major traffic problems. And lastly, we can look towards the students crossing Sheridan Road. Now, this is one of the major arguments that says, well, students cross at random points. And no matter how hard we try, and I cannot say that I can convince all my Northwestern fellow peers to cross at the proper locations. However, the more opportunities there are along Sheridan for students to cross safely, and when they know that there is a time where they can cross, they are more likely to utilize those locations. If we have to walk all the way down to Foster or to Noyes, of course the students aren't going to cross the street randomly. Now, whether that's the right thing to do or not is another question, but if there is a location if there is a stoplight at this location where they can cross at any time, and I know for a fact many students do cross at this location, then they are more likely to utilize it. And the more students that take advantage of these safe locations, once again, improve safety for both the students and for the Evanston community. So I do ask the City Council to support this.
Alderman Rainey has a question.
I don't. I have a question of you, Madam Mayor, and that is, I'm hoping that if there are any other people signed up to speak tonight, that they all get the same amount of time. That's all I'm asking, is that we treat everybody fairly.
I think that I am.
Well, that was way longer than 3 minutes.
3 minutes, 10.4 seconds, and Mr. Atkins got 3 minutes and 20 seconds.
That was
so
very long. I'm just asking everybody get extra time, including Sharon.
Thank you, Alderman Rainey.
You're welcome, Madam Mayor.
Hi, I'm Sharon Eckersall, 2519 Ashland, former Township Assessor for 3 terms, and the current Republican-endorsed candidate for Cook County Assessor in the general election. I am here to clarify you had a question at the Human Service meeting that my successor couldn't answer regarding the difference between a deputy assessor and a deputy assistant. The difference is the certification in the classes that lead up to getting the designation. The current employee there in the township office has not one credited course toward a certification, so he would be classified as a deputy assistant. Now, I'm here to address my former budget in the assessor's office, which I controlled for 9 months of the fiscal year, my term ending December 31st. It certainly gives me pleasure to see that it did not take long for the machine to work. If I read the budget correctly, it shows an increase of 100%. My budget was set at $90,703 last year, and I actually was $7,100 under budget. However, the proposed budget is for $168,054, which is an increase of 100%, not only a 100% increase, but an increase in staff of 100% for a $40,000 salary. Also, if you were to add the different amounts that go into that salary, you would have to come up with FICA, Social Security, retirement, medical insurance, and education to maintain the designation as CIAO. There is also a part-time dollar amount being allocated for the reassessment seems quite high, since we were not able to pay more than $12 per hour for a 40-hour work week for 4 weeks and did not have funds for training personnel prior to the reassessment. That would be somewhere around $3,840, not $6,000. Why is it the township would be allowed to propose such a high increase when the city has to cut staff and we are in an economic crisis? I was forced to live within $90,000 and actually showed a surplus. Can't the former staff handle the workload? It is apparent they cannot. Why can't the assessor's office hire from general assistance, which is free, which I did, and that's where Darnell Jefferson came from? Better yet, my successor in her platform at NU in our forum stated that she would work whatever hours necessary in the office. And I think it's time for her to step up to the plate and work more in the office. You caused, as a group, 2 of you caused a lawsuit 3 years ago, which we are still paying for, and now plan to put back another employee in the office. The trustees also want to abolish the township. I'm getting 2 different things off both sides of your mouth. I think there is some confusion in the message you are sending the taxpayers of Evanston. Is the present staff in over their heads, or are you simply trying to bail them out by spending more dollars we don't have?
Thank you. That concludes citizen comment. Alderman O'Neill, did you want to speak? Well, go right ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, for your understanding. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm of the council. I am Rosemary O'Neill, and I live at 2044 Sheridan Road. My family has continuously lived there for 82 years and paid the taxes. I've seen the evolution of the campus and the neighborhood from all private homes to a fence around the campus to the landfill and the glorious new proposed East End. As a property owner, I feel I deserve fair treatment, and thus far, with a couple of exceptions, I feel my legitimate concerns have been dismissed. I am truly concerned for my personal safety and that of guests to my home. I want protection of my property rights and the pursuit of happiness in my home. And if happiness seems trivial, remember it's in the Declaration of Independence. With the proposed traffic signal at Lot D, I will be a prisoner in my own property. When D exits southbound on Sheridan Road will back up, and then when Sheridan Road has the light, they will all rush south, only 600 feet from Foster Street. Where is time for my ingress and egress? I hope that the council members have viewed the property and before you vote, because the driveway was approved by the council in 1986, 15-3, and also by the state of Illinois. Is the city prepared to accept responsibility for liability from vehicular accidents for an asymmetrical intersection that presents unique risk to me and my guests for such a menacing situation? I have asked in writing specific questions to Mr. Snyder, and as yet I have received no answers. Mayor Tisdale did tell me that she had visited the property and drove through with Mr. Snyder. I hope that the city council members have also seen the site, as it is unique in Evanston. That's what comes from being there a long time and being a part of the history of the neighborhood. Sheridan Road from Chicago Avenue to Lincoln Street is an area of concentration of pedestrian and human activity. And I really do think that it is used as a service road for the university, which has heavy truck traffic, the CTA and university buses, FedEx, and illegal truck traffic. I saw one truck driver the other day. It was a 16-wheeler on Library Place, and believe me, that was kind of pathetic to see. A true north-south intra-campus drive would solve problems for the university, and they used to have a north-south driveway. That's what happens when you've lived in the neighborhood for a long time. This is a solution that is long overdue, and it deserves serious and prompt attention. I shall continue to express my concerns about my safety and the use of my property, and I expect that the city will be responsible. I thank you very much for your time and understanding, madam. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That concludes citizen comment. Alderman Rainey, could we have the consent agenda?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First item is approval of the minutes of the regular council meeting of May 24, 2010. The Administration Public Works Committee requests your approval of the payroll through May 23rd in the amount of $2,179,982.16. The City of Evanston payroll through June 6th in the amount of $2,283,071.95. The City of Evanston bills has been approved by the committee in the amount of $3,193,976.01. Item 3.2, we request your approval of the contract award to Chicagoland Paving Contractors in the amount of $1,039,772.56 for the Emerson Street and Isabella Street Emergency Resurfacing Program. Item 3.3 is withdrawn from the agenda. 3.4 is approval of the contract award for the 2010 50/50 sidewalk and curb replacement to Schroeder and Schroeder in the amount of $144,037.50. We request your approval of the sole source purchase of Arbotech fungicide for the elm tree injection program for 2010 in the amount of $37,500. The only provider of this is Rainbow Tree Care Scientific Advancements of Minneapolis, Minnesota, and 175 public elms will be re-inoculated, previously done in 2007. We request your approval also of the contract renewal for the CAD software license and service agreement with SunGuard Public Sector in the amount of $58,515 to be paid for out of the Emergency Telephone Systems budget account. Approval is also requested with the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees. This will authorize, we're asking you to authorize the city manager to execute a 2-year collective bargaining agreement with AFSCME effective March 1 of this year through February 29, 2012. The next item, A5, Sheridan Road Signal, is off the consent agenda and will be addressed by the committee chair. The next item is Resolution 12R10, which would authorize the city manager to execute a real estate contract for the purchase of real property located at 1708, this is 2 properties, 1708 and 1710 Darrow Avenue in Evanston, Illinois. Resolution 38R10 relates to prevailing wages for the public works projects, and this is a requirement of the state of Illinois, and the committee requests your approval. Resolution 39R10, by which the City Council would authorize the transfer of $650,000 of motor fuel tax funds for the maintenance of your streets and roads. Next item is off the consent agenda and will be addressed by the committee chair. The ordinance 37010 is also off the consent agenda and will be addressed by the committee chair. A11 is for introduction only, and it has to do with decreasing the number of Class B liquor licenses due to a change in ownership of Bar Louie. Ordinance 39010 is for introduction and increases the number of Class B liquor licenses to permit the issuance of a license to the new owners of Bar Louie. Ordinance 40010 decreases the number of Class B liquor licenses due to a change in permit for the Golden Olympic Restaurant for introduction. Introduction also for Ordinance 41010, which would increase the number of Class D liquor licenses to permit the issuance of a Golden Olympic license, which would decrease to beer and wine. Item A15 is Ordinance 46010, which increases the number of Class D liquor licenses to permit the issuance of a license to Bombay Indian Grill. Our liquor commissioner has been very busy. A16 is for action. It's ordinance 24010, which amends Title 11 of the ordinance administrative adjudication because of a reorganization of the department to change the department title from director to manager. It's for action. Under planning and development, I'm going to move for approval from planning and development the sponsorship agreement with Evanston Grand Prix for Sunday, July 18, 2010, and please note the amount has been reduced by $5,000. The contribution from the city's sponsorship will be $5,000, not $10,000 as on your agenda. Next, for introduction, is Ordinance 42010, which amends the zoning map to rezone 415 Sherman Avenue from an R4 general residential and hospital overlay district to a general R5 residential district. Also for introduction is amending the special use for a convenience store at 555 Howard in the B3 district. It would increase the hours of operation on Saturdays to 7 p.m. and allow operations on Sunday from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Ordinance 44010 is for introduction also, which would allow a special use for a Type 2 restaurant at 1527 Chicago Avenue in the D4 Downtown Transition Zoning District. The restaurant is Giordano's, and that would include an amendment for the time open on weekends and will be amended for action at our next meeting. Next is approval of funding renewal for the second 2009 Families in Transition case from Connections for the Homeless. The maximum allocation for the year would be $6,060. Under Human Services Committee, that committee recommends your approval of the Township of Evanston May 2010 monthly bills in the amount of $109,240.45. Is H2 off the consent agenda and will be addressed by the committee chair. That has to do with idling of motor vehicles. Next, from the Economic Development Committee, they request your approval of a funding recommendation by the Economic Development Committee to provide $65,563 in annual funding for 2010-11 for the Chicago North Shore Convention and Visitors Bureau. O2 is approval of funding recommendation by the committee for a neighborhood business district improvement program for 6 organizations representing business districts and associations. The mayor requests your approval of an appointment to the Human Relations Commission of Tanya Patterson. With that, Madam Mayor, I move approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. City Clerk, could we have a roll call vote?
Alderman Tindem. Aye. Alderman Grover.
Aye.
Alderman Rainey.
Aye.
Alderman Burris. Aye. Alderman Fisk.
Aye.
Alderman John Batiste.
Aye.
Alderman Nguyen.
Aye.
Alderman Wilson.
Aye.
Alderman Holmes.
Aye.
9-0, the consent agenda passes. Alderman Jean-Baptiste, could we have Administration and Public Works?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Move the, direct the council's attention to item A5. Staff recommends approval of to authorize the city manager to negotiate an agreement with Northwestern University for the design, construction, funding, and the traffic signal at the Northwestern University entrance south of Garrett Place in Sheridan. This item was previously held in committee on May 24, 2010, pending further public intervention at the June 1st, 2010 First Ward meeting. Move approval.
Second.
Alderman Fisk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First of all, I want to thank the council for allowing us to hold this over in order to have a first ward meeting. The meeting was very well attended. About 80 people came to the downtown library, and most of them voiced their opinion on this particular issue. I think what we have here is a situation that has been aptly described by the public speakers tonight. It's a very complex situation, a very complex intersection where 2 streets and 4 curb cuts come together across the street from a Northwestern University parking lot. The main concern, of course, at the entrance and egress to this parking lot is for the safety of the students who are walking on the north-south sidewalk on the east side of Sheridan Road. As one of the people who attended the meeting suggested, and probably the most practical answer that night, is that in order to preserve pedestrian safety at this intersection with the parking lot, it probably makes most sense for the parking lot to be closed off of Sheridan Road and for the traffic to be diverted into the internal campus drive system of the university. But most importantly, I think everyone expressed some frustration. I think you heard it from Mr. Bova tonight. You certainly heard it from Ms. O'Neill. You heard it in the committee, that there has not that what's lacking is really a comprehensive engineering study of how these several blocks on Sheridan Road are now being used and how they're going to be used. Almost every single block on the west side of Sheridan has a university surface parking lot on it. On the east side of Sheridan, you'll find that the university has a lot of surface parking, and the plan is for that surface parking, as Mr. Naylor said earlier in committee, that surface parking over the years is going to be consolidated into what will probably be 3 main parking garages, one north, one south, and one in the middle. And the one in the middle, as the framework plan is calling for right now, will probably be 800 cars. And if not designed properly, these 800 cars, while not increasing the number of vehicles east of Sheridan, will be concentrated at this location and will be spilling out onto Sheridan Road. And one of the interesting things is that we have a situation at the entrance to this parking lot with students crossing the entrance to the parking lot going north and south, and Northwestern University faculty and staff going into the parking lot. So in many ways, this is a university on university problem. And it would be very, very helpful, I think, for the neighborhood who stands a very strong chance of being directly impacted by this signal. It would be helpful for the university to sit down with the neighbors and the traffic engineer of the city and really talk about what their future plans are for vehicular flow on not only Sheridan Road, but within the neighborhood and in the internal campus system. As far as precedent in the city of Evanston, we now have 4 parking lots that contain more than 200 cars that actually are serviced by a mid-block signal. But this is very rare in the city, and almost all of these 4 parking lots are also serving shopping centers. So again, this is a very unusual situation. As cars are going to be leaving the Garrett lot, which is not going to be connected to the Northwestern lot, they are going to be required, for example, to turn north. Even those cars that are wishing to go south are going to have to go north, and you can imagine by just thinking about it for a moment that these cars will double back through the neighborhood to head back south. So Orrington Avenue, Sherman Avenue, possibly Ridge are going to see some more traffic as not only drivers who are trying to go the opposite direction, but also drivers who are frustrated by increased traffic decide to take shortcuts through the neighborhood. So I think the residents' concerns are very legitimate concerns and really ought to be considered. My recommendation is that if we're going to go ahead and have these, pass this resolution and have a discussion with Northwestern University about their willingness to pay for the design and implementation of the signal, that we also engage them in a conversation about their future plans for how vehicles are going to flow in this area. Because I think shortly, I know Morty Shapiro has promised us all that a parking garage will not be built for 10 years, but 10 years goes very quickly. And the folks who have invested in these properties on Orrington, a lot of whom are young families with small children, they're going to be here for 10 years from now, and they're justifiably concerned about this. So my recommendation is that we amend the resolution to include a discussion and ask the city manager to have that discussion with Northwestern University and our traffic engineer about the future plans of the university and how they're going to impact not only east of Sheridan Road, but west of Sheridan Road as well. Thank you.
I would second that.
Alderman Wilson.
I'm comfortable with the city staff's recommendations. I think that they're qualified, and I'm comfortable proceeding with it as is.
Alderman Rainey.
But I don't think Alderman Fisk is saying not to do that. I think she's adding to it, saying as we go forward, that the city manager should engage in a discussion with the university to find out what their future plans are regarding traffic and vehicular activity on Sheridan Road. I mean, I think that's very benign and very informative. And what could information hurt?
Well, just to respond, I don't think that that should be done in any event, regardless of what the proposal is or isn't. So that's a conversation that should be ongoing, but I don't know that it should necessarily. The inference to me was that it's a qualification on the stoplight in some way. That's how I took the suggestion, and I don't think that there should be any qualification with regard to the city manager's ability to negotiate the agreement.
I didn't hear that.
Alderman Grover.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think Alderman Wilson just made my point. Thank you.
Seeing no further lights, it has been moved and seconded, and Alderman Jean-Baptiste, it was your motion.
It was Judy Fisk's
It's
motion.
amendment,
and,
yeah.
And Rainey seconded, and I seconded it as well. So, to add the amendment.
Okay,
that
so
there should
it's
be
a
some
friendly
discussion.
amendment. All right. So it's been moved and seconded to pass this as amended. Could we have a roll call vote on this?
I think procedurally you have to, let's vote on the amendment.
Yes, you
All right.
got to work.
Let's vote on the amendment.
As amended.
We don't need a roll call for the amendment.
All right. All in favor of the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
All right. Let's try a roll call. I got three. Or you want to raise hands?
You can. What?
Go ahead and let's do a roll call.
Alderman Tindem.
No.
Alderman Grover. No. Alderman Rainey.
Yes.
Alderman Burris. Oh, that's right, yes, I forgot. Yep.
But she
Alderman
wants to vote
Fisk.
yes.
Aye.
Alderman Jean-Baptiste.
Aye.
Alderman Nguyen.
Aye.
Alderman Wilson.
No.
Alderman Holmes.
Aye.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ayes.
5 ayes, the motion passes. All right, back to the main motion. Could we have a roll call? Well, let's have a roll call. Alderman Nguyen.
Madam Mayor, I was here during the ANPW discussion, but for those who were not, I believe Alderman Burris, I think it might be helpful just to have for people watching now to explain that you've recused yourself on this issue. Right, because I know you did at the ANPW meeting, but now we're in.
Sure, I'm sorry, I just gave the information to Mr. Green. I'm recusing myself from this vote because my employer, it would benefit and be safety for the people that I work with and the people, and my employer is paying for this. So I'm recusing myself from this vote.
Thank you, Alderman Burris. City Clerk. This is a vote on the original motion.
No,
As
this is a
amended.
motion as amended.
As amended.
Alderman Tindem.
No.
Wait, we're voting on the
voting-
traffic.
Alderman Tindem, we're voting on the original motion as amended. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
You voted no on the amendment. It passed.
Alderman Grover.
Aye.
Alderman Rainey.
Aye.
Alderman Fisk.
Aye.
Alderman Jean-Baptiste.
Aye.
Alderman Nguyen. Aye. Alderman Wilson.
Aye.
Alderman Holmes.
Aye.
And Alderman Burris recused herself from the vote.
8-0, the motion passes. Alderman Jean-Baptiste.
Yes, Madam Mayor. Item A9 is a request that City Council adopt proposal ordinance 34-0-10, which modifies the code relating to peddlers and solicitors to prohibit unauthorized ticket selling and reselling for Northwestern University events. At the committee level, we did move to introduce, but to hold in committee. So that's the status right now. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Item A10. This is a request that the council approve ordinance 37-0-10, which amends the section of the code regulating peddlers and solicitors in Evanston. The current code regulating peddlers and peddling and soliciting is out of date and does not adequately regulate these activities to ensure that peddlers and solicitors are given equal opportunity to engage in their business within the city. That's what our legal department said. The proposed ordinance provides a much more definitive, inclusive definition of a peddler and defines a solicitor. Again, it was introduced and held in committee.
No, I don't think it was introduced.
It wasn't even introduced. Okay. So this matter then is back in committee. Yeah, we held it in committee, wasn't introduced. Okay. All right. Good. Want to read what else happened? Read the minutes.
Thank you, Alderman Jean-Baptiste. Does that
that's it.
conclude your report? Alderman Rainey, Planning and Development.
Madam Mayor, we handled all of our items. I just wanted to clarify one thing, and that is the introduction of the Giordano's Type 2. What we did there was amend the weekday times, Sunday through Thursday. Staff recommended a 9 p.m. closing of the outdoor cafe, and we amended that to 10 o'clock.
Okay, and that's for introduction.
Yes. Yeah. And it was already introduced. Yep. I just wanted to clarify.
Okay. Thank you. Alderman Fisk, Human Services.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Human Services Committee asks your approval of Ordinance 12-010, amending subsection 10-418-1 of the City Code, standing or parked idling motor vehicles. Is there a motion to approve? Okay, second. Thanks. There was discussion at the committee for a couple of months about this. Personally, I have a request, and that is that that we also amend the vehicle idling management policy to bring city vehicles in line with the ordinance, so that city vehicles are, unless they're emergency or part of the exception, that city vehicles are not allowed to idle for longer than 5 minutes per hour. So that would be my amendment to the ordinance.
Okay. Can I ask, excuse me, Mayor?
Go ahead, Alderman Jean-Baptiste.
Yes, I know we've had some discussions at committee level. Can the city attorney just clarify for us how this matter was being handled?
Yes, Madam Mayor and members of the council, with respect to the issue, this approach is comprehensive in that in subsection A of the proposed ordinance, vehicles would be exempt from the idling restrictions if they are otherwise complying with the City of Evanston vehicle idling management policy. And that, I believe, expressly exempts emergency vehicles and other vehicles which are carrying on business in furtherance of their city duties.
And Madam Mayor, Alderman Jean-Baptiste, Alderman Fisk contacted me earlier this afternoon regarding this, and what I would recommend to the council is that we would leave the language as is. However, we have altered the policy that we would proclamate, and would propose, again, this is not a council action, but just to inform the council that no driver, the policy would read, no driver of a municipal vehicle shall cause or allow the vehicle to idle for a period of more than 5 minutes in a 60-minute period for sedans, vans, and pickup trucks. Medium and large trucks that employ hydraulic systems and are fueled by biodiesel fuel will be allowed up to 15 minutes in 60-minute period during periods of low ambient temperatures under 32 degrees. In all cases, all city employees should refrain from any and all unnecessary idling so as not to cause environmental impacts to the community. So if the council would be fine to leave the language as is, this is the policy we would proclamate, and I think is in keeping what the issue that Alderman Fisk raised. We would only ask that for those vehicles that have some mechanical issues, especially in the wintertime, that flexibility be given. We think the language that's been drafted will accomplish that.
Alderman Holmes?
Oh, I was just going to ask the city manager to say what he just said, which he had sent in the email today. He had sent the email this afternoon in response to Alderman Fisk, and I thought that had taken care of it.
Thank you. Alderman Fisk.
The downtown residents, thank you, Madam Mayor.
The downtown residents are welcome. All right. So are we back to the original motion without the amendment?
Yes.
Madam Mayor, can I just,
Alderman Rainey?
could you clarify how emergency vehicles are going to be treated? I didn't quite get that.
Alderman Rainey, members of the council, let me read section 2. This policy shall not apply to emergency service vehicles such as fire apparatus, police vehicles, or
Okay.
ambulances.
I didn't hear that.
You didn't read it.
And there are a couple of others as well, but that's the main point for public safety vehicles.
I thought the change.
Thank you. Now I believe we're back to the original motion. And it's an ordinance. City Clerk, could you call the roll in a moment? Or two.
Yeah, I got it. Okay. This is back to the original motion, right?
Yeah.
Here we go. Alderman Tindem. Aye. Alderman Grover.
Aye.
Alderman Rainey.
Aye.
Alderman Burris. Aye. Alderman Fisk.
Aye.
Alderman John Batiste.
Aye.
Alderman Nguyen.
Aye.
Alderman Wilson.
Aye.
Alderman Holmes.
Aye.
9-0.
9-0, the motion passes. That concludes that. All right. Call of the wards. Alderman Tindem.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to make one announcement regarding a Central Street business owners meeting coming up specifically for 6th Ward businesses, but not to exclude any others that would be interested. This is a meeting to be held on Thursday, June 24th, 6 p.m. at the Old Neighborhood Grill, which is 2902 Central Street. The purpose of this meeting is to introduce members of the business community in the 6th Ward and others around there to our city's new staff in the Economic Development Department, and to introduce or remind them of programs like Neighborhood Business Development Improvement Program and other things they might be interested in. So we're going to try to jumpstart this process on June 24th, 6 p.m., Old Neighborhood Grill. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Grover?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to mention that this coming Sunday, June 20th, is the Ricky Birdsong Race Against Hate. Takes place at Long Field, at Lincoln and Sheridan. There are different levels of running and walking. Please come participate. I think this must be I don't know how many years they've run this race, but it's a great Evanston event. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Rainey?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to comment that this is the third month in a row that the City of Evanston has exceeded its real estate transfer tax budget item. So we're on the road to recovery, I predict. Second of all, I want to thank all the wonderful people in Brummel Park, neighbors. They put on their summer carnival this Saturday, and the pouring rain had to be moved to the outpost, which worked out fine. I want to comment on something I did that I haven't done in a while, and that is I watched the Human Services meeting live and in color on Monday night. And it was fascinating. And in addition to the discussion about nudity, I found even more exciting was the discussion about the township budget. And I want to personally congratulate Alderman Jean-Baptiste, who had his game on, and Alderman Jane here. I just could not believe the depth that you all got into, and I have never heard that conversation before. So I want to encourage all of you to look at that budget. It has room for improvement. So, thank you.
Thank you, Alderman.
Oh, one other thing. I would like everybody to watch the city calendar. I don't know what the date is going to be yet, but very soon for the dedication of the Custer Street Bridge public art, the art that lights in the night. It's very, very exciting.
Thank you, Alderman Burris.
Thank you. Tomorrow night, the residents of the 16 and 1700 block of South, we're having a meeting to talk about speed bumps. Once again, 7:30 at the Ridgeville Field House, which is at Barton and South. And this upcoming weekend, even though it is actually in Alderman Wilson's ward, but it's closer to my house, is the Custer's Last Stand Street Fair, June 19th and 20th. Please come out. It should be a good time. Thanks.
Thank you. Alderman Fisk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First of all, I want to encourage everyone to keep an eye open for the grand opening of Priscilla's Party Center at 1015 Davis Street. This is the same owner of the Hallmark shop, which is reopening, and I've had a little preview on the inside, and it's beautiful. So I think it's wonderful to have this continuing business in our downtown, and I wish her much success. There is today a final date for our next NU City Committee meeting, and that is going to be this Thursday, June 17th at 7 p.m. Is it 7 p.m.? I think okay, thank you. 7 p.m. here in the Aldermanic Library. So those of you in the First Ward who are interested in this, please come out. And as usual, we will be leafleting the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Jean-Baptiste.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. And Alderman Rainey, thank you for the compliment.
Great.
We try to follow in your footsteps, you know, regardless. There's a poem about footsteps, so. But anyway, you know, I want the members of the City Council to know that we stand on top of the Evanston Plaza situation. I think we had our third meeting. We had the initial meeting, then subsequently we met with the Foresight representative, and we had another meeting at the Dance Center. And we have another one coming up next week with the owner Panino, at Panino's, because he was not able to make it the last time. So we stand on top of that. And, you know, we want to, and I know I'm speaking for all of you when I say that we want to call on all of the parents to hold your kids close to the vest for the summer. You know, make sure that they're good citizens and enjoy the summer. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Nguyen.
Well, some of the things I was planning to say have already been said, but I do want to say that Alderman Wilson and I have had the first of what we look forward to many meetings with our new economic development staff with the Main Street merchants. It was a very productive meeting, and we have really gotten a very good reception from the businesses there. They are hearing that there is a new staff and a new plan, and the hand of the city is reaching out to help them. The response I've gotten from the business community is excellent, and it's just the beginning. So I look forward to having more of these meetings, not only with the Main Street merchants and our city staff, but now with the Dempster Street merchants and the other business districts. But it was very productive, and I want to thank the economic development staff, Lehman Walker and Johanna Neiden, who was assigned to that particular area, and let the community, the business community, know that we're coming soon to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Wilson.
Like Alderman Nguyen, a bunch of my favorite events have already been covered. I'll be running in the race against hate as well, and enjoying the Custer Fair. I also wanted to point out that it is Bike to Work Week, and we will be having a bike commuter station set up near by Fountain Square. And I know that I'll be there for part of the time, and thanks to Active Transportation and Turn Bicycle for helping to sponsor that.
Will you fix my bike lights there?
Absolutely.
Oh, thank you.
No charge.
Alderman Holmes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just want to remind everyone that this Thursday, the 17th, we'll be having the regular Fifth Ward meeting at Fleetwood at 7 p.m., and you're all invited if you want to come by. Also want to let you know that the renovations have started in Fireman's Park, and some of our firemen are here tonight, and they're working on that, and there will be a rededication of the park on, I believe it's July 22nd. So put that date on your calendars now so that you can come out and join us. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman, oh, we're done. Alderman Tandem's already gone. Alderman Wilson.
Pursuant to 5 Illinois compiled statutes, ILCS 120/2A, I move that the City Council convene into executive session to discuss agenda items regarding personnel, real estate, litigation, and minutes. These agenda items are permitted subjects to be considered in executive session and are enumerated exceptions under the Open Meetings Act. These exceptions are 5 ILCS 120/2, C1, C5, C6, C11, and C21. Do I
Thank
have
you.
a second?
City Clerk, could we have a roll call vote?
Alderman Tindem. Aye. Alderman Grover. Aye. Alderman Rainey. Alderman Burrs.
Aye.
Alderman Fisk.
Aye.
Alderman John Batiste.
Aye.
Alderman Nguyen. Aye. Alderman Wilson.
Aye.
Alderman Holmes.
Aye.
9-0.
9-0, the motion passes. We'll go into executive session.